What's up, folks? I don't usually make day one videos, but it's been a good day one, so I'm going to make a video just in case you're crazy like I am and trying to start Blast Rain of Trarthus right off the bat, right into the league. And so far, it's been going pretty well. So the plan is essentially to make the same setup as I had on my previous Trickster for Cold Dot, that was Frostblades of Katabasis, but this time end up going with a fire version of that because that's essentially how the skill works. Blast Rain of Trarthus is a fire damage debuff that you can put on mobs, and essentially works the exact same way as Frostblades of Katabasis does. It just happens to be fire based. So when you attack with it, you'll notice that you have a cone like that fans out, and anything that's in that cone, it's going to get a debuff on it that lasts X amount of seconds that deals fire damage to the mob. So if you're wondering how it targets, it's kind of a weird thing. It will target like the direction you fired it from. So if I fire here, it's going to fan out that way, like so. Even if you're moving, even if there's mobs everywhere. So you do have to get kind of preemptive with the targeting and figure out where you're putting it, where you're going to be putting it down, how you're going to be moving around the battlefield. But it's overall pretty freaking fun to play with, and it's been pretty smooth as I've gone through the campaign with it. How did I start the character off? Basically just went through the elemental nodes here, got some life here, got some elemental stuff here, and went up this way, at which point in time around level 28 I bought a Frostblades of Katabasis for 1C. The reason I bought this is because I wanted to keep the tree about the same as where I was going to be going anyway, and the fact that these are only map drops as they are currently, so you can't actually get these in the campaign. So I had to wait for one of the faster people to get into maps so I could buy one of those, and around 45 is when I was able to buy that. But if you're league starting one of these things now or later on, you'll probably be able to buy these for about 1C pretty easily. I don't think they're going to be that expensive unless people just start not getting them at all or not picking them up. Who knows? Overall, you don't have to go Katabasis, but I did in the beginning just because I felt like it, and I want to always level with the thing that I'm going to go through the campaign with anyway, so I figure the tree should match pretty closely with that. From there, once I got 45, I picked one of these up, but I had to level it because it was far behind Katabasis in its leveling, and they're pretty close in terms of the damage over time per second debuff that they have. So this one is, this one's Chilling Ground that does damage, but either way, this one's 1672 at level 17, requires level 60. Then this one is 1616 at level 62. That does about the same amount of damage. At the end game, it's always going to be that the Blast Rain of Trarthus is one level behind Katabasis, but overall your scaling with this should be more because you have more avenues of scaling, so they'll do about the same amount of damage, which is pretty good in my opinion. From there, I had the cold nodes for a little bit, but then I just shot over to the left-hand side of the tree because there's not that much scaling for fire stuff in the beginning, fire damage over time especially. On this side of the tree, we'll be going clusters eventually, but from there I just went over here just to get some stuff going, slapped on some stuff like Grace, Malevolence, and Skitterbots, and just figured that is good enough. From there, looking for things like elemental damage with attack skills. It's got to be very important that it is with attack skills or with bow skills, otherwise those will not be contributing anything to your damage. As you can see, most of my gear is pretty crap right now, so it doesn't really matter what it is right now. Most of this gear is also coming from the mercs. The merc system is so fun for going through the campaign, looking at the mercs, seeing which ones you can get, what you can get where, how you can upgrade them. I basically have been focusing on the strength archetype as far as the merc I'm carrying with me, and the reason for that is those guys are pretty thick. They give me endurance charges, and they are able to kind of stand around for a couple levels without me having to resurrect them, because resurrecting them costs gold, so you don't want to do that too often, not every zone, not every time, because you'll be out of gold as you go through the frame. My goal right now is to essentially exile anyone that is int or int based, because I don't really need any of their gear. I keep around people that can give me bows, quivers, good rings with wed and stuff on them. Like this guy doesn't have any, but if I did get some wed rings, this is where it's coming from, just elemental damage with attack skills. We call it wed because we're old and grumpy people. Those are coming from mostly the mercs. Most of my gear is coming from mercs, just some decent things in there. Checking those out along the way. A lot of my viewers have gotten divines as well, which is pretty cool. The merc I'm currently focusing on is the strength one, because this guy can stand around, give me endurance charges, and being a trickster, I do have those nodes for those charge durations, so about 30 seconds of endurance charges. He's always popping those off for me. I'm also going to focus on this because then he's going to be able to put down decoy totem, which is really handy actually. I'm surprised how powerful the Merc doing decoy totem has been for me throughout the campaign. I've literally been able to like not worry about anything like in the Innocence fight or anything like that because they've just been honed in on the Merc, and I love that. Physical aid just makes them much more tanky as well, which has been nice. And then the goal would be, of course, to get something that can give me Fortify, like they kind of teased about in the trailers. So if we can get Vigilant Strike with the Fortify node or something like that, or we get this guy Vitality, I think it was, one of them had, then he could heal himself really rapidly. It won't help me much, but it would help him as staying alive, and he stays alive pretty well. So for that, just, you know, look out for mercs that have weapons or bows, quivers, rings, amulets, belts for you, and then upgrade your merc as you go through the frame and aim for stuff like that. However, the scaling for this is going to be pretty much what you'd expect it to be, same as my Katabasis video. Go over here, get Spellbreaker, get all the Trickster goodness for the chess piece. It's a little bit weaker now, but it's not going to be that much detrimental at all. They nerfed it down just slightly. Probably drop one step ahead and go these two nodes here, then, you know, go the normal Ghost Dance setup with the Wicked Ward. So just get a 40k evasion, 8k ES, get that fast regen, and then if the Merc can survive, the Merc's going to give us Fortify, the Merc's going to do Decoy Totem, it's going to take some heat, it's going to do the thicknesses, so we're going to feel really good at the end game for that. It'll have its regen, I'll have my recharge, we'll be good to go on that. And then because of the conal nature of the skill, if it does enough damage, Awaken Area Effect in there is going to make it really big because it's got a really massive base. It's got a 3.5 meter base radius to that fan that comes out of it, so that's going to feel really good as well. As for weapons, it's probably going to be a Caustic Arrow bow, but fire-based, so a little bit of tweaking there, but a very straightforward thing to build. May cost a couple divine. Maybe we can use some of the new recombobulator systems to make a base and save ourselves some divines from that. I'm not entirely sure on how that's all going to work out, but we're going to find that out when we get there as time goes on. As far as things of the unique nature, Replica Dragon Fang's Flight, of course, is going to be probably the amulet of choice. They're currently about a divine each, which is a bit expensive, but, you know, if it's one of these perfect ones, like almost perfect 99910s, something around this area, then it's probably worth a divine in that regard, because, of course, it's going to be your amulet for the entire existence of the character, so it's not a bad thing to invest into a really good one and just make use of the reservation efficiency and stuff like that, so you have less things to worry about. But it is also the very beginning of the league, so it's kind of going to take some time for those to come down and figure out, you know, what the prices are supposed to be. I don't know how many people are actually going this as a league starter or going into it right away. There's just very few things on the market. That's 5 offline as well, so, and we're just day 1 into the league. The mercs seem to be dropping a lot of divines from what we're seeing in chat, and people seeing from like 1 to 2 just in the campaign and 3 in the maps. I don't know if that's supposed to be the way, but it is what's happening currently, so that's kind of insane if that's going to be the drop rate of things, what's going to be happening. Who knows? Maybe it's just the fact that we're in a party and everyone's getting a party bonus from having the merc with them, and that's just making it feel better. Don't know, but it's been very fun. It's been very exciting for at least the campaign to look at their gear, see some stuff, ooh and odd things that they pick up. I've given this guy some gear just to make him a little bit better. And probably going to take this out and get a new one in its place, because right now this guy's 61, going into maps. Probably want somebody in their 70s. These guys live about 10 levels, I've noticed, from the stats and gear that I've seen them currently equipping and wearing and going on with. They got a lot of life and a lot of defenses, so that's been pretty good. But they do die from time to time, of course. In terms of the rest of the setup, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to be going and what's going to be going where. Probably going to have to wear some uniques more than the last build did, maybe not. Maybe we're going to use memory strands to gear, you know, build the gear up this time, which might be pretty good. We might be looking at uniques like this thing, the Archon's Tools, for getting a Skitter boss that then gives us boosted out Scorching, so we get like Shock, Chill, and Scorch, but then we have that ailment immunity, but that's doable from some other places as well. So who knows? I'm not entirely sure what the rest of the build holds, where it's going to go, what it's going to do, but I am pretty confident to say that It should feel pretty much like Katabasis did in its cold dot variant, with the thickness, with the feels, but it will have to rely a little bit heavier on clusters because there's not that much we can get in terms of fire stuff here, because these are mostly the cold-based things here as well, like I had on the last one. And then, you know, there is projectile damage or damage over time with bow skills, and then there's projectile damage that you can scale with, where is that node? Projectile crit multi. There's somewhere there's projectile damage. I forgot where it is. The projectile damage modifiers apply to skill damage over time with this skill. So maybe we go large clusters with projectile damage. Maybe we go fire clusters. It really depends on just which one is going to have an overall better feeling to it. Which one's going to be overall cheaper. So if the damage is the same and I get to save some currency by not going fire clusters, you know I'm going to do that. That's going to be a much better option for it. And then, yeah, just scale the hell out of it, see where it goes, respec out of all of this stuff here. Once we start getting clusters over here, go start working on the chest pieces, getting some energy shield gear, switch over to CI, all that good stuff in the running. And yeah, it's been a very fun league start. Got a divine from Dominus, which was interesting in my regard, and that's, like I said, maybe why I'm going to buy the replica Dragonflight Frang thing. English. In case that's going to be a good way to go about it. I'm not entirely sure yet how that's all going to pan out, but overall, very solid league start. I love the Mercenary system for making campaign just feel like you're constantly looking for upgrades. You're constantly seeing little things here, constantly looking at rares, constantly seeing gear on the mercs, thinking about when you want to switch out, when you want to keep the one you're doing, give it an item. It's so nice. It adds so much to the campaign that it's been hella fun. The one thing I will say is I'm a little worried about the fact that you can only have 3 of these guys and they're account bound, so like once you have your one set in, then I can only switch between 2 for the next character, and then that guy might have his set in, and then it might be just switching the last one, but we'll see how that pans out in the end of the system later on as we go throughout the league, so that's not something we have to worry about right now. Overall, that's been how the league start's been going for me. It's been a pretty good day one overall, liking the skill, liking the mercs, liking the league. Can't wait to get to the actual secrets of the Atlas part at the end game here. So today we're gonna get this guy through maps, get him in, get him up and running, and then get a bunch of upgrades. Hopefully, maybe we can work on the bow, maybe we can work on getting the necklace, maybe we start working on clusters, maybe work on a chest piece. I don't know. It really is just a matter of what I can afford, what's going to drop, and where it's going to take us. So that's been the start for me so far. Hopefully you're not as crazy as I am and starting something brand new, but if you are, hope you're having fun, hope you're having a good time. I will make full guides on this when I get it done, but for now, this is where we're at. Thanks for watching. Peace.